until you have understanding, you can't practice and you cannot teach. That is what it is. And that job is done by extension.
Thank you, sir. Sir, still with you.
Yeah.
Could you share some new ongoing programs in extension as the head of NELS? What are the new programs because since we've talked about the transformation from traditional to modern.
Thank you. The first one is what my prof had just said. From 2012 to date, there was a shift from just concentrating on production to the other levels of the value chain. Mm-hmm. So what we started doing in my own place is that whatever commodity we are looking at and we want to provide the information, we provide the information along the chain. That's what we are now doing. Then the fact that the ADP is now not in the position to drive extension because of funding, and we need that structure to reach out to the farmers on the field. What we will now do, or what the ministry has helped us to do, is to have a center that we now call the National Farmer Sales Line. It's a digital knowledge base, where we have, in our knowledge base, the frequently asked questions from the field. And so on that platform, any farmer anywhere in the country can ask us, whatever is the challenge of the field, and we respond to it in splits of seconds. If the knowledge base doesn't have that information, we can now escalate the information, the query, to other experts all over the country, and we can solve the farmer's problem on the field. Apart from that, we have gone, we're experimenting some extension approaches. One of them actually was given to us during the WAP. WAP is a West African Agricultural Productivity Program, the adopted village. All over the country, we have adopted village where we have farmers in clusters, and we facilitate by giving them technical knowledge, and they're doing fine. I give an example. With respect to access to credit, all our farmer, adopted village farmer beneficiaries, when we link them to banks, to commercial banks, and they are giving loan, they pay 99.9% repayment. Farmers do it. And so the concept that farmers don't pay loan is not true, except we are going for political farmers. We deal with real genuine farmers, and they pay back. Okay. In fact, the CBN has got to know about this, and I've had about more than 3-4 times meetings with the CBN, because we want to, the same trick, we want to push into anchor borrowers to make sure that their beneficiary pay back, because they have problem with repayment. Then we also have done recently an experiment of CBA, what we call community-based advisors. We experimented in Kaduna and Niger State. And it's a beautiful outfit where we now have what we call the community-based advisor, that is like a one-stop shop in the community. That all the farmers, the queries and the challenges of farmers, he can answer to, because he's a farmer himself. We did it about 180 farmers, CBAs in Kaduna and in Niger State. So we have a total of 380. So I'm talking to and have their profile. That's some of the things we're doing now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for the information. Now let's look at research, because one of the things we are looking at is linking research to extension and practice in order to improve productivity, effectiveness, enhancement. Alaji or Malam Gashimbaki. Did I say it right? How is your organization looking at linking research to your services? What kind of things are you looking at?
Yes. Let me talk at 2 levels.
Okay.
First is even at the national level. What we found out is that if you look at what the National Agency, I'm just giving an example, what the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure is doing, NACINI, if you look at what the National Center for Agricultural Mechanization is doing, you will see that they have attempted and they have tried to develop a lot of prototypes of various agricultural devices Now, what is actually missing is the commercialization aspect of those prototypes that have been developed. They have done something for yam. They have done for, I'm aware of the ginger dryer. The list is endless of various implements that have been done. But the commercial component of mass production and rapid adoption of these things is what is lacking. Now, the challenge with the adoption also is linked to the fact that manufacturing in Nigeria is a very, very cumbersome thing because there are so many issues associated with it. I don't want to go into that. Now, that is the reason why, again, even the few prototypes that have been developed successfully, like the ginger dryers and whatever, they end up going to China to mass produce it, or to go to India because the unit cost of production here is high. So there are so many issues undermining the ability to connect research and innovation, and of course, the commercialization of that. Then at the level of Mecca also, we have, in our own little way, focused on reverse engineering. Majority of the component parts of the tractors and the implements that we are refurbishing, substantial components of those parts, we fabricate them here. So you can see the knowledge of research, innovation, and engineering. We are deploying it in the reverse engineering component of our project. So I'm talking that is at the Mecca level. So I hope I've been able to address your question.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. I think you want to say something before I go? Okay. Professor.
There is an existing system. The research institutes we call NARI, National Agricultural Research Institutes of Nigeria. So we have linkages. I happen to be, when I was the director of NRLS, I happen to be the chairman of Committee of Directors of Research Institutes. So that is an avenue, actually, where all the research institutes come together. They are divided into about 3 or 4, but the major ones are 2. One part of the research institutes belong to Agric. They are being paid by Agric. And they are being supervised by the ARCN. The other part, major one, they are in the science, Ministry of Science and Technology. Then you have some in health, and I think about 1 research institute in pharmaceutical sciences. So for us, under Agric, we have 1 umbrella, which is the ARCN. So all the research institutes are there. NRLS is one of the research institutes also, but the duty of NRLS is actually extension. So as such, we have relationship, we have collaboration. So whatever is available, whatever technology is available is given to NRLS, or there are protocols where the technology is handed over to us, and then we now hand over to ADPs, because the relationship we have at national, we are at the national level, and then we now give the ADPs, the technologies, and then they now extend to the farmers. Thank you.
So it now means that there's a need, because we're all on this table, so there's a need to link up with practice. Mecca is practice, and your research. So behold each other, so we can work better on that. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Alhaji Abubakar, now, with all you're doing, because you have the gamut of human resources within you.
Yes.
So now, so far, how has research been able to link up with what you're doing on the ground? Because you're a very powerful stakeholder in extension.
Yes. Normally, extension research is the think tank where knowledge is being acquired, passed to SMS, and there's a subject matter specialist, and train the extension workers. Extension workers now take the training to farmers. And so also, if there's any problem from farmers, they'll also take it upward. I know that once the issue I raise is addressed, I think sky is our limit. We'll do everything possible to see that all knowledge acquired from the research is transferred to farmers. Yes.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry I'm smiling. Welcome to the... Okay, let me get serious. You're welcome. Are you seated? Well, okay, two new distinguished gentlemen joined us. They look like chiefs. Could you please kindly introduce yourselves to us?
The National President, All Farmers Association of Nigeria.
All Farmers Association.
Yes.
Okay.
I saw from the something because we were there with the minister, but the session is including us. And here with me is a National President of
National Cotton Association.
National Cotton Association. NACOTAN.
National Cotton Association. I've been waiting for you, sir. You're welcome, sir. Let me go to cotton first. I had a question for cotton. Sir, could you tell us what you guys are doing in the association?
Yes, thank you very much. National Cotton Association of Nigeria is basically the umbrella for cotton.
Sorry,
not
could
cotton.
you speak out louder?
Yeah, umbrella body for the cotton, textile, and garment sector of Nigeria.
Okay.
But of course, predominantly we support farmers, aggregate farmers, and support them with inputs, training, and so on and so forth. So that's what we do.
So how are you deploying research and innovation to farmers in order to improve productivity,
Well,
for productivity enhancement?
Okay, well, we are lucky because we have an institution housed in the Ahmadu Bello University, that's Institute for Agricultural Research, who have the national mandate for cotton development, so to speak. So we work closely with them, at least we try our best to ensure that, we get, one of the major problems is getting good quality planting material. And they are the ones that produce that for us. Breeder seeds, foundation seeds, up to certified seeds. So as well as that, we also ensure that inputs that we utilize are also tested by them and so on and so forth. And on a yearly basis, we actually send our extension officers to the institute for training. So they tell us, about climate change, new methods of farming, cotton particularly, that will ensure that, the farmers are able to address climate change and so on and so forth. So research is housed with them, and we try to encourage them as much as possible also to ensure that, for us, there is a linkage between research and the industry, starting with the farmers, obviously, and then going up the chain, the value chain.
That's good news. So it means very soon I'll not have to buy imported clothes.
Yes, by the grace of God, honestly, things are happening. And you have to be interested to know rather than just assume that things are not happening, to be honest. Before 2019, when we actually were organized under the Anchor Brewers program of the Central Bank of Nigeria, I think Nigeria was only producing about 80,000 metric tons or thereabouts of seed cotton. But I can tell you that from 2019, that improved all the way to about 120,000, 2020, 130, so it's on the upward. And you have seen that farmers have now been interested to come back into cotton production. We have also been able to address, to an extent, smuggling. It's a major problem. Perception of poor quality of Nigerian produced fabrics we are trying to address. The industry is there. It has been established over years. All we need to do is to encourage. We used to be 180 textile companies in Nigeria. And maybe today we are just talking about 5 or thereabouts producing. But the work has started. And it's not a day's job. But the point is that the bedrock for the CTG sector is cotton production. And that is what we're addressing significantly with the Central Bank of Nigeria, with the Ministry of Agriculture, with private sector, and hopefully soon with the African Development Bank as well, particularly with this SAPZ that they are trying to bring to play.
Thank you very much. That's very good news. Thank you. Mr. President, welcome once again.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, could you share with us some of the gains of extension, working with your farmers, some of the things, or what do you think we in extension should do to improve the practice?
Yes, like we always said, basically without extension, whatever we are putting together may not work, because it's just like building a school, providing books, chalks, and so on without teachers. It will not work. And we need extension services to improve, because even the seed, the better seed, our farmers cannot identify the better seeds. It's the work of the extension to show us. Like for instance, this year we had a private sector funding, Brains and Hammers, that funded for us for sorghum production, sesame, and red hibiscus. I can remember, the Anko Bros that is happening at CBN, the extension services is not there. Or even if it's there, I don't know. But practically, at the farm's gate is not there. So, but this one, because it's private sector driven, they monitor their money, they monitor all the activities, they make sure that these extension workers that they employ, but few of them, because we don't have much, we need Nigeria to expand to extension services. So I can remember almost 90% of our sowing, they came and showed us that it was incorrect. The spacing is not correct. Everything, most of the practices are not correct. And when we put it, and they corrected us, there were so many trainings and so on. And even by me, before harvesting now, I believe that that thing that we've been hearing outside world that they are harvesting 5 to 6 to 7 tons per hectare, we believe that we're going to do it, because right from looking at what is there on the farm, we know that this is not the actual farm of ours. It shows as if it's in Europe or somewhere. So this is the act of extension services. And believe me that with much of extension services, the production will be high in a particular area.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we are running out of time, but what I want to do is I'd like each and every one of the panelists to just give us a parting shot so that we'll leave, that will always be at the back of our mind when we remember this panel. Sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. My parting word, I would say there should be proper synergy between research and innovation and practice. Now, the commercialization component is what is largely missing. So we need to rapidly adopt the prototype and commercialize them. So that's one. Number two, agriculture needs to be made sexy than what it is. And the only way to do it is to infuse more capital into mechanization. And for that to happen, the financiers need to appreciate that in the entire value chain, when it comes to production, agricultural mechanization is the less riskier, because when you finance it, it still remain asset-backed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mana Abubakar.
Mine is, I'll still talk about, I encourage proper synergy between the three tiers, the federal government, state government, and local government. And I also want Federal Ministry of Agri to borrow a leaf from what Ministry of Health is doing when they have primary health care in the local government, and they are also taking care of some activities in that regard. They should also do that so that there will be total inclusiveness. Thank you.
Thank you. Olaume.
Thank you. My parting shot is just to emphasize the drive of the Honorable Minister. He has identified revitalization of National Agricultural Extension System as an inroad to be able to transform Nigerian agriculture, and is passionately driving this through this move towards legislation of the National Extension Policy, training of more extension workers, and so on and so forth. So with this, we are very sure that we are getting somewhere in agriculture with this drive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Professor Ikani.
Yes, agriculture worked before in Nigeria. It was agriculture that gave us the name Giant of Africa. I think it's now time for us to go back to it. The last NBS report, agriculture was number 1, GDP. Petroleum was not even number 3. So let's go back. And for us to go back, I want to suggest that for the young ones to come into agriculture, we must begin to step down hoes and cutlasses. Let's go for simple implements. Let's go for simple farming machines. Instead of the big harvesters and those ones that are used in Europe, let's go simple. Let's start from there, then we can upgrade. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Ismaila.
Yes, thank you. I had just two. One has to do with the mechanization that we are trying. It is important to understand that the level at which we are operating is very low. Most of our farmers are still traditional farmers. So when we are mechanizing, it is important that we have to put in place mechanism whereby those ones that are going to be displaced by mechanization, because mechanization simply means capital displacing labor. So when you displace those ones, it is important that we put in mind how we are going to accommodate them, because otherwise we are going to create more problem for ourselves. Then next, what we have, the differential we have now in productivity, that we are emphasizing productivity, there is need for us to go back to the research institutes and ask them to do more work or fund them to do more work. We don't have any hybrid seed in Nigeria. The only one that we have is not our own. No research institute can claim it. So let us start developing our own. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Achimogu.
Thank you. I think the points I wanted to make, Prof has already emphasized on it to my left. And that is particularly to do with seed. I think when you look down the line for productivity enhancement, what you put in the ground is what you get, so to speak. So we have to be able to ensure that we get good seeds, planting seeds to the farmers. Mechanization is important, yes, but it can't be, let me say, complicated, so that it could be easy to handle by our farmers. To bring in the youth, because we have aging population of farmers, it is important that, yes, just like the first speaker said, that we make it sexy, to bring them on board. So I think those are the things that we need to do. Link research to the actual practice of production. I think that's...
Thank you. My president.
Thank you, ma'am. One thing I want to say is that all of us, and we have to focus more on engaging private sector, so that the little should come from the government. Let agriculture be private sector driven. However, I want to congratulate even the industry, that is our agri industry, now that everybody is thinking about agriculture. I can remember before, I'm a farmer. Nobody wants to be called a farmer, but now everybody wants to be called a farmer. I visited Aliko Dangote at one time. He said he's a farmer. But I remember 2011. 2011, I was going abroad. I was going to Turkey. In Lagos, the immigration, when he saw my passport, he saw a farmer. He said, a farmer going to Turkey. That thing, really, I fought him. We fought. However, now, that same person will want to be called a farmer, I believe. So congratulations to Nigerians, because by so calling everybody a farmer, we believe that this is a starting point and we're going to achieve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What did I hear? We've been able to establish the fact that research is very important for us to move ahead in agriculture, to enhance productivity. We've been able to appreciate the fact that extension is key. Extension is the bridge between research and the farmer. We've been able to establish the fact that there are still yawning gaps that we have to address, and we know that the work is not finished. And we've been able to establish the fact that extension, as we are about to view it, or that is unfolding from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, is going to address so many gaps that we've been hoping to address in the future. Let's give a round of applause to our gentlemen for what they've shared with us. Thank you very much, sirs.
Thank you very much, Gloria, and very enlightening conversation. Please, can we have our speakers or panelists step forward for a photograph, please? Thank you. While they do that, we are gradually winding things down for the summit today, and we are now transiting into what I believe Richard described as a party. So the International Fund for Agricultural Development would be taking over, if you like, and this is what we'll describe as the youth session. Thank you again to all our speakers. Please, another round of applause for them. Thank you very much. I know it's been a long day, but please, can we put our hands together for them again? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So we're going to have the IFAD Nigeria Country Director just share a few remarks. But before he does that, I understand that the youth, the IFAD youth want to make their presence felt. So can we have them step forward now?
Get a boyfriend, we dey misbehave. She get a boyfriend, we no like to spend. She get a boyfriend, he too dey kaku. She get a boyfriend, ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú. She enter her DM, she see ọmọpẹ Fọláńlé, Bọ́láńlé Ṣọpẹ́ o. She enter her DM, ó rọ́mọ bẹ̀tà o. Bọ́sì ni jẹ́ bullet baby. Abo fẹsẹ̀ ṣá o. Pẹpẹ dẹ, Bọ́láńlé pẹpẹ dẹ mú. 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 Who no like better thing? Who no like better thing? Bọ́láńlé like better thing. She too like better thing. Who no like better thing?
Welcoming the VCDP youth from Benue Ebonyi, Ogun State, Anambra, Niger, Taraba, Kogi. Please can we encourage them as they dance in? Nasarawa, and the last but not the least.
Who no like better thing? Bolale like better thing. She do like better thing. Who no like better thing? Who no like better thing? Bolale like better thing. She do like better thing.
I have waited patiently. I have vision, oh I believe. I know I can count on me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Here we go, it's getting close. Now it's just who wants it most. It's just life, that's how it is. 'Cause we have our strengths and weaknesses. Oh, I have vision, oh, can't you see? I'm on the move, make way for me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up.
Thank you very much. They are now going back to their seats. Can we appreciate the young leaders of
Please
today?
put your hands together again for the IFAD youth delegation from across the country.
Shalom na highway. Owam na highway. To be on a highway. Man, the trouble, but up on highway. Look on the wine. Here. Agreement. On your front, Jack Copiasiawa, they pay them. For long wagon on company. A second street, no company. Listen, they took on 100. Money to the money.
All right. Please, another round of applause for the IFAD delegation from across the country. Okay, so now we're going to listen to the IFAD Nigeria Country Director, Mr. Patrick Habamenshi, as he says a little bit about what we're having here today. So please, can you welcome as he steps forward, Mr. Patrick Habamenshi. I think he's looking less youthful than the delegation from across the country, but I believe he's still representing them. Okay, over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants. It's my pleasure to be here to share a few words before the session with the youth. I was supposed to be doing the introduction, but I think these youth need no introduction. They did an amazing job. I almost felt like standing up, joining them, but I know YouTube, they would just quickly... They would just quickly take my image to YouTube, so I refrained. But I'm very proud to be part of this two-day summit, but also in particular part of this particular panel that we are going to start right now. The Value Chains Development Program is really our flagship program in Nigeria. It's funded by the International Fund for Agriculture Development and the federal government of Nigeria. And each state where we are, the 9 states where we are, is also co-funding this program. It's really impressive what one can achieve. Before I talk about the Value Chains Development Program, I want to say something that explains why we need to do a program like this. In a lot of events where we are dealing with talking with the private sector in agriculture, we forget that the primary private sector are the farmers. The farmers is the first private sector in the country. We forget them, and a lot of time we do our planning without really thinking where are our products coming from. But our products are coming from farms. If we are talking about processing, here we've been talking about the special agro-industrial processing zones. Where does that product come from? It comes from farmers. And most of the farmers are smallholder farmers. And most of the smallholder farmers are youth, like the ones you've seen today. They are dancing of joy because we try to make sure they are included in the discussions, to make sure that the country understands better what are the needs of these young people, what are the needs of the smallholder farmers. When you go to agro-processors, they might say, we will never get the products we need. The farmers don't know our standards, they cannot provide the quantities we want, they cannot bring the quantities in time. When you go to financial institutions, and I apologize in advance for anyone here representing financial institutions, but they will always use the same word. It's risky. It's risky to go in that sector. If you say that you work with young people who are around 25 years old, that one is a no-no. It's even more risky because that is what we think. So in the Value Chains Development Program, what we try to do is to bring together all the actors so they get to know one another. We have what we call the Commodity Alliance Forums, where the private sector will meet with the producers, will meet with state, will meet with local governments, will meet with civil society, will meet with input suppliers. Everybody will meet to understand together what do we need to do, because each one needs to play their role. The producer cannot do anything on their own if they don't have good seeds. Earlier in the panel, it was mentioned, the seeds, the inputs that we need. They cannot do anything if they don't get access to finance, to the right services that understands the seasonality of their activity. They need all of that. The states need to come in because we're always talking about taxation, sometimes multiple taxation. The state needs to come in to level the playground. Yes. So it is very important to have all of those things in mind. And in the Value Chains Development Program, we bring those actors together so they can discuss. And the results are there for themselves. You don't see them necessarily looking at this youth, but when you talk with them, when they will discuss, you will see that some of them were able to triple the area that they are producing, that they are cropping. They were able to increase their revenues. They were able to get loans and repay those loans and buy equipment for their farming on their own. So we need to have the time to listen to that story, because that story is what will make the difference in what we are trying to achieve in reviving the economy. 62% of the population of Nigeria is less than 25 years old. 62%. You only saw a fraction here. 62%. So we need to understand what that 62% needs in agriculture so we can help them revive the economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abamenshi. Very well said. And as you mentioned, we're going to be learning more about that experience with the Value Chain Development Program that has been sponsored by AFAD. I would like to move on to that right away. So we're going to have two quick panel conversations, and we're going to be bringing to the fore many of the people that you have seen just now, the youths who are invested in agriculture and will be hearing their experience. So the theme of this session will be creating young millionaires through agricultural value chain, the IFAD VCDP experience. And we're going to lead that conversation with the VCDP Gender and Youth Specialist, Mr. Musa Dalang. He will be making a presentation. If I may appeal, a brief presentation, and then we'll move on to the panel discussion. Please have your seat, sir. I would like to now invite the moderator of the session, Nkiru Stella Okonkwo, who is the CEO and founder, Fresh and Young Brains Development Initiative. Sorry, sir. So, over here, Nkiru. The other panelists are Ajibola Johnson, a youth farmer from Ogun State, and I'll just run through very quickly. We have quite a few of them on the panel. Inuwa Riza, a youth farmer from Niger State. Sumaya Amadu, a youth farmer from Taraba State. Van de Van Chia, a youth farmer from Benue State. Cynthia Udeze, a youth farmer from Ebonyi State. And Ngozi Ebue, a youth farmer from Anambra State. So, Kiru, I'm going to need you to keep this very tight. I believe we're going to lead with the presentation from Mr. Dalong.
Thank you very much. Please, can we appreciate the young people in the room, the young leaders of today, and also to appreciate the IFAD VCDP team. Thank you so much. Nkirika Stelokonkwo is my name. I am the CEO founder of Fresh and Young Brains Development Initiative. I'm a lawyer turned agropreneur, so I'm happy to moderate this. But to kickstart this, we would like to watch a 3-minute video about VCDP so that you have a feel of how far VCDP has fared. Immediately after that, we'll be hearing from Mr. Musa Dalang to share the experiences. Please enjoy the view.
Cassava in western Nigeria. He runs his own business cultivating high-yielding cassava stems, which he sells to other farmers. 3 years ago, Johnson was trained in cassava stem cultivation and multiplication. Now local farmers rely on his quality stems to plant in their fields. He also gives them advice on how to get the best results.
With the training, we have trained that we should first of all ask the person who wants to buy stem, what does he want to use it for? I have plenty stem at hand. I know what I'm selling and what I'm giving them, because I will explain the way they are going to plant, how they are going to maintain it, all the good practices that have been taught. I used to pass it to farmers.
Johnson learnt his trade through the Nigerian government's Value Chain Development Programme. In partnership with IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, the programme aims to alleviate poverty for over 60,000 farmers, with a special emphasis on youth, often the most vulnerable members of rural communities. Groups of young farmers are given access to loans and grants to set up their businesses, are assisted in drawing up business plans, and encouraged to open bank accounts.
45.
With increased availability of good quality cassava, new business opportunities are opening up, like this privately owned processing plant, which transforms locally sourced cassava tubers into starch. With more dependable markets and better incomes, many young people now see a future in agriculture.
All my group see the difference from what we have been doing before. It's now motivate most of them, people that are farming beside us, so far as they are seeing what we are doing, that is different from what they are doing, and the result is different from their own. Many of them are now coming in.
Over the years, Johnson has expanded his business. He now employs 12 workers and has invested in 2 lorries to deliver his wares. With the proceeds, he has built a house for his young family.
There is money in farming. If you do it, if you follow good agronomic practices, I'm very sure you are going to make it.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy to announce that Johnson is right here with us.
Ajibola Johnson is a cassava farmer in western Nigeria. He runs his...
Thank you so much. So we've watched the video of one of the VCDP youth from Ogun State. It's now my pleasure to invite Mr. Musa Dalang, the gender specialist in VCDP here in Abuja, to give a background of how far VCDP has come at the State Youth Forum and, of course, the national. Please, can we welcome him? Thank you.
I stand on all already existing protocol, please, and greet all of you this evening. The Value Chain Development Program is a program of the federal government of Nigeria assisted by the International Fund for Agricultural Development, with counterpart funding from the federal government, the participating state governments, the local governments, and the beneficiaries themselves. It started in 6 states in 2014. The enterprises we support are production, processing, and marketing. When we started, we relied on support, input support from input dealers, But we were quick to notice that we needed a more sustainable seed system, realizing that seed is a very critical factor of production. And so we felt the need to develop our own seed system. And we quickly sought collaboration with the mandate institutions. We collaborated with Africa Rice, that is domiciled within the premises of IITA Ibadan. Between 2017 and 2018, the Institute trained about 120 of our youths from these 6 states. Then we also collaborated with the National Root Crops Research Institute in Umudike in Abia State, where we trained 90 of our youths for improved STEM production. These young men and women returned from the training and were supported with improved planting materials and inputs to establish 1 hectare each of seeds, rice seeds, and cassava stems. But even before then, you discover that young men were shying away from agriculture because of the associated drudgery and low yields, low incomes. What the program did to attract these young men to agriculture was we tried to be innovative. First, we presented to them the business phase of agriculture and made them understand that agriculture is a business, a very profitable one. We also engaged, we collaborated with mandate institutions for the use of machineries, simple farm tools like power tillers, threshers, planters that could reduce drudgery and increase productivity, as well as increase yields. So with these strategies, these young men and women got attracted and joined. Then we engaged them in various enterprises. Like I told you, we have trained seed entrepreneurs. We have these young men and women now engaged in production, some in processing, as businesses that generate incomes to them. And today, they have so many success stories to tell us. Scaling up on this, in 2019, we were advised to develop business models of rural areas in these participating states where we could leverage on the available raw materials in these rural communities for our youths. We were able to identify about 26 different enterprises along the 2 value chains of rice and cassava. We developed business models and showcased them to these youth in the states. Everyone was able to express interest for the type of enterprise they were interested in. Then we had the states to identify trainers that will train these youths to acquire skills in these enterprises. Presently, we have commenced this. As I speak, we have already sent another batch of 120 youths to Umudike for the same cassava stems. They have trained and returned. Those for rice seed production, 120, they resumed last Sunday in Badegi with the National Cereals Research Institute. The others along the other value chains, will commence in the States very soon, sometimes this month, and some will commence next month. These young men and women will go and train to acquire skills in the enterprises of their choice. On completion of this skill acquisition, they will return and develop their business plans to seek funding support from the program. The program will support them to establish these enterprises as their income-generating enterprises for which they will earn incomes, and not just earn incomes for themselves. We expect that after a year or so of operation, they should be able to create jobs for other people, other youths and women. For the youth seed entrepreneurs that we have on ground already, you could see they were singing with joy because these ones are already very young millionaires that the program has developed. And they have also created jobs for a lot of the youths in their communities and women. Some of them have gone as far as registering their companies with the Corporate Affairs Commission and the National Agricultural Seed Council for seed certification or quality assurance. We have collaborated with Harvest Plus 2 in Ibadan to train 60 of our female youths on the production of various recipes from pro-vitamin A cassava. These ones too are producing various recipes for sale, and they are generating incomes. They are very happy people. Some of them have been mainstreamed into the form this school feeding program where they produce and the schools uptake and they are paid. They get good money from it. We also collaborated with Agriculture Food Production Initiative. They trained 60 of our female youths to produce various recipes from rice, particularly brown rice. They too are in business producing various recipes, and they are generating good incomes. In a nutshell, all that VCDP has tried to do is to create jobs for these youths, and I can tell you most of them, as you will hear them talk to you very soon, are not interested in taking any government job again, because the salaries they hear directors in civil service getting, they say they are much, much better than that, so why should they go and take a government job to do what? They have people they employ. Some of them have even bought motorcycles for their staff. It's as good as that. Some have begun to build their warehouses. Some are planning to establish their seed factories, having registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission and the National Agricultural Seed Council. So I do not want to waste much time. I will hand you over. You will hear them talk themselves. It's better you hear from them. It's evidence-based because they are the ones who are going to talk to you from now. You will hear the stories, very many success stories. We have just mainstreamed 3 new additional states, Nasarawa, Kogi, and Enugu. These youths too are coming up very soon. The next 1 year, we trust that they will also showcase similar stories of success. Thank you very much.
I think Mr. Musa deserves a better round of applause. At this point, permit me to stand because this is a youthful session, and also to celebrate all the VCDP staff here, the states, coordinators, the RIGMOs, the KMCs, and the rest of the VCDP family. Wherever you are, can you quickly wave? Let's celebrate you, because they have been the one nurturing this, and it's been an honor since 2017 to have been consulting with VCDP. Thank you very much. So now let's dive right into it. Johnson, in the interview you had earlier, you mentioned that there is money in farming. And I'm sure there are some people here that are interested to know the opportunities that exist. what would you advise? What are the opportunities?
Let me start from where we started with FCDP. Then you know that there is real money in farming. When I started in 2015, I was profiled as a group, which is called Uludarapo Group. Then in 2016, we did 26 hectares. That's the first year that we did farm with tractor. The reason why we do this is FCDP ready to support us with input and land preparation. Then 50% of all the land preparation that you did, you are going to be supported by the FCDP. That was what prompted us to land preparation for using tractor then. When it's in 2017, I was sent to Imudike, National Root Research Institute. When I come back, what I saw there with the training, I stepped it down to my fellow youth in the local government. That year, we did 72 hectares of cassava. You can see we are moving. From one group, we now move to 7 groups. Then we increase from group, we now graduated to cluster. Before, I'm the chairman of the group before, I'm now the president of the cluster when we now graduated to the cluster. With that, then the FCDP also sent one of our members to IITA for seed on rice production. When the guy now come back, he explained how we can do everything for us. We now go into rice again. We did 107 hectares at the start on 2017. And we did over 100 hectares of cassava in my own cluster alone. That year, there is an opportunity in cassava. The price of cassava go up. Because of that, many of us now go into that cassava business. With that, I won an award that year. This Charlton Hotel, they will give me an award as the best cassava farmer in our FCDP farmer in Ogun State. I was sent to Brazil to represent Nigeria FCDP farmer, all because of cassava. We all know that Brazil is the genesis of cassava. When I now get there with what we've been taught, both on production, marketing, processing, when I come back, presently, I may tell you, we have over 427 hectares planted as a cluster. That's how it was all the local government, across the local government in my state. With that, you can see that there is a huge amount in there. But for someone to do an hectare, you will not spend nothing less than 200 to 250,000 naira. All farmers know that is true per hectare. Someone will now say, why could young people now get that huge amount of money? With the financial inclusion that FCDP has linked us with, we are able to borrow some money. We started with just only 4.8 million naira from one bank, microfinance bank. We get an opportunity for us to get that money. It's not easy. That's where the challenges is. But we are fortunate that the CBN was mistakenly went to our farm. He wanted to go and measure some farm that period for NISA. We now met them in our farm that, what are you doing in our farm? We now said, we want to do NISA too, but we haven't started any processing. They now said, do we know any microfinance? They link us with microfinance. We pay back, they borrow us 9.8 million
Thank you.
the following year.
Thank you
we use
very
that one
much.
to buy tractor. We have 4 tractors in our cluster presently.
Thank you very much. This is one thing I love about young people involved in agriculture. There is so much passion. Can we celebrate him? And from what he has said, we can see that there is huge potentials. There are huge opportunities for peer mentoring, for capacity building, access to finance. Okay, so I will come to you, Vande. What has been the experience, or more or less challenge, as a young female involved in agriculture? For some people, they say agriculture is for the poor, the lazy, the dirty, and for those who didn't pass their school exams. So I would like to ask you, what are the challenges you face as a young female involved in the agri sector?
Okay, thank you for that question. The first challenge I faced, or ladies we face is access to land. And then you don't have, agriculture has to do with a lot of strength. So you have to be all way out if you want to go into the production aspect of it. It's something that you do with the whole of your mind, the whole of your strength. If there's anything you can do more than that, that's what you use. Then another critical issue we've been having apart from that access to land, there is this kind of, let me say, men looking down on you. Sometimes they will say that you disturb too much. But I just thank God for some men. They are not frightened by the progress of women. So God has helped some of us. We've come in contact with such men, and at every point they try to encourage us. Then this is not part of a personal stuff, but it's worrying every one of us. The issue of insecurity, the issue of access to market, access to machinery because it's drudgery, agriculture is drudgery. So those are the things the challenges that we face. But when you keep on, when you don't give up, you will definitely overcome those challenges. The only issue that we have that is like not something we can overcome is that of insecurity. Because there was at a point I was at the farm trying to go through this dry season farming. I heard gunshots. Will I say Boko Haram or something? They came around and I had to run away. So those are the issues that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Can we appreciate Vande? Okay, so I come to you, Cynthia. You've heard the challenges. How are you able to address some of the challenges that you face as a young agripreneur involved in the VCDP?
Thank you so much. Some of the challenges we face in agriculture with the intervention of the VCDP, like before the intervention of the VCDP, we were not using technology, thereby incurring so much cost in production. But when VCDP came into intervention, they helped us with matching grants, and with that, it helped us to expand in our agribusiness. So another challenge we were facing was land development. Even though they have helped, but it is not yet adequate. Before now, the issue of land development, VCDP has helped us. They used to do land development at, assuming you have up to 30 hectares, they will assist you through the help of NISA. They will assist you to develop the land, thereby making it easy for the tractor to work on it.
Thank you very much. Reza, I come to you. Please, can we appreciate Cynthia from Ebonyi State? Yeah, Reza, in Niger State, I know Niger has really accomplished a lot. Are there some relevant success stories you want to share that can encourage those that are not involved in the agriculture sector to get involved?
Yes, in Niger State, there is a lot of success story, which we don't have that much time to set even 30% of it. The first thing that I want to start with is on job creation. That is one of the success story of IFAD VCDP. Because we in Niger State, most especially as the city entrepreneur, we have many youth and women that we employed in our enterprises. Some are in permanent payroll, while some are in temporary. And also, one of the success story too, before, youth in Niger State are running from agriculture. But sincerely speaking now, they are rushing to join agriculture because there is a lot value chain in agriculture, most especially with the intervention of this IFAD VCDP. Why I say that, if you look at it, if you cannot be able to produce, you can process. If you cannot process, you can market. If you cannot market, you can aggregate. If you cannot aggregate, you can become an agent. If you go to Kanko now, most especially during harvesting now, you will find not less than 1,000 youth there working every day. Because in Kanko side, there is what we call bumper harvest. At the time of this bumper harvest, there is a lot of off-takers that used to come from different states to uptake the rice that we produce in Kanko side. So, I'm calling on youth now, not only those in my state, not only those in VCDP participating states, I'm calling on the youth of Nigeria, not only Nigeria, even those outside Nigeria, please, let's embrace agriculture because there is a lot of opportunity that you can fix yourself. Because,
thank you.
I'm coming, please. Just a few seconds. What I'm trying to say, to be sincere, we have a lot of millionaires here. To me, I don't need government job. And also, I employ a consultant whose work in government, I also paid him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you can see from what he said, part of the success story is that they have now become entrepreneurs. They are employers of labor, and some of them are already millionaires. Thank you very much. Now, still on success stories, but looking at access to market. Sumaya, I would like to ask you, how easy is it for you to get your rice products out?
Thank you very much. You said sorry?
Share your success story.
Thank you very much. I'm from Taraba State, seed entrepreneur from Taraba. From the first time, I'm also a farmer. I've been farming for long before joining VCDP. So when I was farming, I was just doing a lot of farming, rice, maize, granite, and other things. So when I was able to join VCDP, I was opportune to be a seed entrepreneur trained by VCDP in IITA, Africa Rice. So when I was there, I was able to use the stipends I got from the VCDP. So the stipend I got from VCDP, I bought seeds. When I bought the seeds, I now come back to Taraba, Karim Lami, the local government. I multiply it because I do irrigation farming and I do the rainfall.
Okay, so when the rice grains are ready, what do you do with them? Do you supply? Who do you supply to?
When the rice is ready, when the rice is ready, I supply the rice to the government of my state, and I also supply the rice to the VCDP farmers.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. The last but not the least, Ngozi, will come to you, Anambra State. From what you've heard, what are your strong recommendations? Should VCDP program continue? Should it be extended to the rest of the country? What are your thoughts?
Yes, thank you very much. VCDP should continue because they have already wiped tears on so many farmers and youth farmers on VCDP. Their job creation is there. They train everybody in power tiller, record keeping, even armies. So many things, whether climate change, so everything, so they should keep it on because there is a very big, marvelous something in VCDP. And in processing in VCDP, you can go higher. Some of the youth, they are exporting their rice. They have already went ahead and have a company name registered with the CSC. All those things is from VCDP. So we don't know anything about those things before. But hence VCDP allowed everything. All the farmers are laughing now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just if you look behind you, you will see the stand. These are products from most of them. You'll be amazed at what they've been able to do with the cassava and rice value chains. And so on this note, I'd like to appreciate the panelists one more time for Ngozi, for Cynthia, for Sumaya, for Reza, for Johnson, for Vande, and of course, Mr. Musa Dalan. Can I quickly ask representatives of Nasarawa, please, to stand, just wave. The VCDP youth from Nasarawa, they are among the youngest family members. Please, can we appreciate them? Thank you. From Kogi, can you wave? Can you stand down here? Great, thank you. Enugu State. Thank you. Anambra, Benue, Ebonyi, Niger, Ogun, Taraba. Am I forgetting anyone? Thank you very much. It's been an honor. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much, Nkuru. Okay. I've been told to mention that all the operators who indicated an interest in the deal room should please wait behind when we're done. I think there is some information that you need to receive. Yes, after the last session. Well, we have one more, and we're going to transit to that right away. So the next session is going to be on creating and enabling an environment for youth inclusion in agriculture. And for that session, we're going to be having to moderate Ms. Christabel Agara, Director Operations, AA Universal Agro Industries. Do we have Christabel here? Okay, Christabel is on her way. I'd like to quickly invite all the panelists, and I will really appreciate if they can come very quickly because we really have to round this up as soon as possible. Alabi Adeola, IITA Youth. Alabi Adeola, please join the panel. We also have Dr. Bright Watergear, Director Projects Coordinating Unit at the Ministry. We have Mr. Manir Umar, the CEO of Dinat Farms, Catherine Agbol, the CEO of Vida Foods and Beverages. We have Alton James, VCDP Rural Institutions and Gender Office, Taraba State. We have, representing the Ogun State Commissioner for Agriculture, Dr. Adiola Odedino, we have the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Dotun Shorunke. We also have Alhaji Farouk Mundi, the AFAN President, joining this session. All right, so we need you to help us wrap this up, if you can, in about 30 minutes or so. Is there a video as well before this? Okay. We can't see
Young
it here.
people 15 to 24, an age of possibility, a time to prepare for the future. Most of the world's 1.2 billion youth live in developing countries, 500 million in rural areas. But their numbers are growing fastest in some of the poorest places, and the obstacles they face are daunting. Poverty and inequality, lack of skills and training, limited access to land, finance, and technology.
Như tôi đã nói từ trước rồi là thế hệ trẻ chúng ta phải chủ động.
The challenge that we youths in this area face is financial aspect.
No a cualquier mujer, por lo general en los lugares rurales se nos toma en cuenta, pues siempre está más que todo el machismo que se genera, ¿verdad?
Thách thức lớn nhất của người trẻ hiện nay thì vẫn là làm sao để tạo ra thu nhập để nuôi sống gia đình và làm kinh tế.
What can be done to help these young people seize the opportunities of the digital revolution now spreading across the developing world and avert the impacts of climate change? How can governments and policymakers harness the potential of this growing population while meeting the aspirations and demands of young people themselves? The 2019 Rural Development Report, Creating Opportunities for Rural Youth, finds that these challenges, if met, will provide unparalleled opportunity at a critical juncture.
If we do not take any special initiatives, we'll have to continue facing those forced economic migrations and the risk of increased inequalities and the fragility that comes with all of that.
The report presents the constraints youth face in an increasingly complex world. The poorest nations in sub-Saharan Africa have the fastest growing youth population, but are least able to address the challenges. And among young people, women face some of the biggest obstacles.
Young rural women can be said to be facing a triple challenge, basically by the nature of living in rural areas, being female and being young.
But there are opportunities.
Among young people, we found that 67% live in areas with great agricultural potential, but only in a third of those do they actually have market access.
Investments focused on 3 key areas may pay some of the biggest dividends for rural youth.
Productivity is referring to our ability to generate income. That's not good enough, though. We need to be connected, especially for young people. You have to have a sense of agency. You have to feel empowered. And it's the 3 of those together that allow young people to take advantage of opportunities.
Productive, connected, and in charge of their own futures.
Kwa hii foja nimenunua kondo, nimelipa school fees na nimeongeza shamba kwa 5.
Inshallah gajinjia ilakumullah.
Ahora me veo como un empresario.
You have all these young people, they're capable, they're able to contribute, they can be productive. What can we do to actually ensure that they're included in the process of rural transformation? A broad, strong rural development policy combined with a clear policy of including young people is the best way to go to address the issues of young people.
Failing to invest in young people will be failing them, their families, and their communities. Will also compromise our capacity to reach the very challenging development objectives we have set for ourselves.
Ahora somos jóvenes que aportamos más a la sociedad, aportamos más a nuestra familia y están mejor preparados para la vida.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, so this session, my name is Krista Balagara, Business Development for AA Universal Agro Industries Limited, and this session is about creating young millionaires through agricultural value chain. And I'm just going to give a brief. Is this better? Okay, so I'm going to just give a brief about the youth situation in Nigeria. Nigeria is Africa's most populous country with over 200 million people and has one of the largest youth populations in the world. And with each passing year, the youth population is growing, which means the unemployment rate is also increasing. However, with the employment and business opportunities that agriculture presents, it offers a platform to engage in sustainable and profitable agricultural enterprises, becoming entrepreneurs and driving the new agribusiness revolution for enhanced rural economic transformation. The transition from school to employment is particularly difficult for the youth, and opportunities are not like everywhere where we can say we'll go into something productive. And there's no structured path to follow or role models to look up to. So many young people are doing jobs and are being supported by their families before they finally find something that pays. And the situation is made worse now by limited access to technical skills, land, and productive assets, insufficient, inappropriate, and inaccessible finance, various risks exacerbated by climate change, and low opinion of agriculture's image as being not attractive for generating income, as well as the associated results from the use of crude implements. And for most youths in the rural region, the most accessible employment opportunities are in the agricultural sector or any informal sector. And given the current context of high food prices, huge potential for growth in area and yield, and markets for processed products, agriculture and agro-allied enterprises are an immediate means of increasing incomes and providing gainful employment for large numbers of young people. Young people play an important role in the development of rural area. With their innovative ideas, passion, motivation, and adoption of improved production technologies, they are important agents of change and have a great potential to contribute to the modernization of agriculture and to the well-being of their communities. Which brings us to this panel, which is about creating young millionaires through agricultural value chain products. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Bright. So can you tell us, are you in the public or private sector, first of all? Are you in public or private sector? Okay, so if you're a public sector representative, okay, as a public sector player, what are you people doing to increase the youth participation in agriculture?
Yeah, as you can see, my name is Dr. Bright Wategere. I'm the director of the Projects Coordinating Unit. My office coordinates all the development partner projects under the agricultural sector in Nigeria. Seeing what has happened today gives me hope for Nigerian agriculture. One of the greatest problems Nigerian agriculture is facing currently is aging population, aging farmers. There are a lot of farmers that are getting old and yet there are no replacements. Why? Because of the drudgery in agriculture. And the youth of these days, they find better opportunities elsewhere, outside agriculture. If you take, for instance, even when you go to the university, people hardly read agriculture. When you go to the university and you are seeking admission, it is when you don't have admission for your preferred choice that they will now tell you, come and read agriculture. It's very discouraging. You know, like I said, see what has happened here today gives me a lot of hope. Hope in the sense that the federal government, the VCDP, has created a platform whereby youth can now see that in agriculture there is money. They have taken agriculture as a business that they can go into and become millionaires. So what has VCDP done differently from what we have been doing in the country. It has just helped in unlocking the bottlenecks that youths generally face when they want to go into agriculture. 1, access to land. 2, access to input. 3, access to finance. And then access to market, right? So, and this program that VCDP is currently running is not only within the VCDP family, it is also done in other related IFAD projects, right? Like you have the Climate Adaptation and Agribusiness Support Program, and we have a new one coming up in the Niger Delta region called the LifeMD, Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprise project in the Niger Delta. So if you want to talk in terms of policy, I think all that we needed to do as a country is to upscale the successes and the achievements that have been recorded under this platform so that a lot of more youth will be attracted into agriculture. And when they see that there is money in agriculture, a lot of people will come in. So from the government of the policy fair, I think we just need to upscale what is going on and make agriculture more conducive for the youth to come in and help resolve all the bottlenecks in whatever aspects of the value chain of the commodities they are interested in. I will stop there for now.
Thank you. Ms. Catherine, you're in the private sector, right? Okay, so what level of the value chain do you think you're playing in? And how do you think the government can make things easier for you? Because obviously you're going to be facing some challenges. So can you just give like maybe an example of a challenge you're facing and how the government can help you with that?
Okay. I am a processor. I'm into processing, and as a private sector processor, one of the challenges is the high cost of production, which begins from the high cost of getting the input, the raw materials that we use for production. In my company, we produce breakfast cereals and flours for making swallow, the popular swallows, but it begins from the high cost of getting the raw materials, which are locally sourced grains. And why is this so? Because the cost of production for the farmers is also high. So for there to be a trickle-down effect to the extent that we also find it easier in the processing line, there has to be a way for farmers to be able to produce at a lower cost. That way, the raw materials that we use will be cheaper. Then when we produce, we'll also be able to sell our products at a more affordable rate for people to be able to afford. Apart from that, there's also the issue of access to finance. Access to finance is a huge problem because processing is not easy. It's something that requires a lot of money, from the equipment that you need to power. There's the issue of access to markets. There's the issue of people accepting made in Nigeria products. They look at the products and scoff at them. There are a lot of beautiful, well-produced, nutritious made in Nigeria products displayed at the back of the hall there. But you find that people just look at them and scoff because they are made in Nigeria. They do not even want to patronize. So I think that in making processing and agriculture as a whole attractive for young people, there needs to be deliberate action from both the public and private sector. There has to be synergy to ensure that the efforts that are being made by the various sectors work. I'll give you an example. Even among the government agencies, you find that there is a lack of synergy. In processing, for instance, you are trying to export your product, you attend NEPC, that's Export Promotion Council seminars. They tell you when you want to package your product, you do this, you do that, and you do that. But by the time you get to the point of registration at NAFDAC, NAFDAC is telling you that you cannot put this on your pack, you cannot put that on your pack. And then that product, if you do not do what the NEPC has advised you to do, it means that your product is not export ready because NAFDAC does not want you to have those things that NEPC advises you to have on your pack. So these are some of the issues that that we deal with. The narrative about agriculture as a whole has to change, that agric is not something for the old, that there is money in agriculture. Even in our film industry, the narrative about agriculture has to change, because when you watch home videos, you see people being referred to as poor farmer, the son of a poor farmer. But we can all bear witnesses to the fact that in time past, in the villages, the most wealthy people people were regarded as wealthy by the number of yam barns they had and the size of their farms. But today, all of that has changed. Even farmers do not want their children to be farmers because of the challenges they go through. They train them in school so that they can leave the villages to the urban centers and do better. That narrative has to change.
Okay, thank you. So my next question is actually for Ms. Altine. Did I
Hello?
pronounce? Sorry, hold on. So my next question is for her. She's the VCDP Rural Institutions and Gender Officer for Taraba State, right? So now my question to you is, what social, what economical, what environmental factors is your state taking to have more women in agriculture, more youths in agriculture? So what factors are you guys taking?
Thank you very much. My name, as you said, is Altine James. I am in charge of mainstreaming women and youth into the program and strengthening of farmer organizations, which is the entry point of our program. In line with our program development objective, we have to ensure that more women and youth benefit from the program, the Value Chain Development Program, which supports value chain activities of rice and cassava. Some challenges we had when we started basically is seeing that there were traditional, socio-cultural challenges. We actually had those ones. An example is when we profile people, we have a database where we get people into the program. So we met a woman and her husband, and because her husband was there, she refused to talk. She refused to tell us her name. And these are some of the challenges we face. They are sociocultural in nature. As she earlier pointed, the youth were also resistant because of some programs that had failed in the past. But basically, we have some strategies. We have a youth engagement strategy. We have a women engagement strategy in the program. And from what you saw, most of the things you saw is the youth engagement strategy. These are rural youth enterprise model. That's the model we were using to bring them in. By the time we were able to get some into the program and successes were being recorded, we discovered that youth were moving into the program. In terms of some of these gender issues that we had, we started inculcating the gender action learning system. It is working for us in VCDP. It's a platform that gives an equal opportunity for everybody to come and bring in their vision and everything. Decision making, asset acquisition, all of these are discussed on that platform. And we discovered that women were able to come out. Were able to, talk about those things they desire to have. They were able to articulate their visions and all of that. And that brought a breakthrough, especially in being able to engage women. And like my boss was saying the other time, engaging these women in profitable income-generating enterprises was also a breakthrough for us. So, and we have systematically target these people, basically. We systematically target the women and the youth. So these are some of the things that have worked for us in my state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So my next question is for PEMSEC.
Okay.
So you're representing Ogun State, right?
Yes, I'm representing my commissioner, Dr. Adeola Odedino.
Okay, so
who will soon join us very soon.
That's great to hear. So one of the major issues we're having with a limited number of youth in agriculture is that they're all migrating to bigger cities where they think they'll get better opportunities. What steps do you think the government can take to make the rural places just as great, or what plans do you think can be put in place that will make agriculture viable for the people in the rural areas?
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. The value chain development model has been found to be a veritable model of success for agricultural intervention, especially in Ogun State. The reason being that, number one, for the youth, you must make agriculture lucrative. You must make it knowledge-driven, not the old the cutlass and old type of agriculture. It must be driven by technology and innovation. And that is what value chain development programs is doing. Because if the youth currently in agricultural field, because there must be a model to those who are still outside, or else you find a lot of them driving motorcycle, Okada, making quick money. So we must make agriculture attractive. And in that wise, in Ogun State, that is what we do. Especially, we are trying to use value chain development program as a model, as a policy model for sustainability's sake, because I make agriculture as an option of youth engagement, and that is one of the pillars of the state government in Ogun State. To that end, you see so many clusters of youth engaging in agriculture. From within that cluster, you have the primary producers, you have the processors, you have transporters, all sorts. I could see quite a number of the youth members of those youth clusters in the VCTP program who are here. It's going to be beautiful. We will listen to their success story. That is what I believe government should do in using value chain development program as a model for agricultural engagement of the youth. At the end of the day, it's going to be sustainable, it's going to be cheaper. Government should add extension services to support those youths and make technologies available to support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So my next question is for Mr. Aminu. As a youth farmer, what personal challenges have you faced, and how do you think the government can ease that challenge?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. As a successful youth farmer from Niger State, since I joined IFAD VCDP, in the value chain, the only chain that was having was having linkage to finance. But thank God, with the cooperation of the state coordinator and even his team, and in fact, includes our state governor, we have been able to tackle the situation. Of recent, the state coordinator under the RIGMO, we have what we call, because in the value chain, production is the backbone. If the farmers don't produce, processors cannot process. Even the aggregators, the entire value chain cannot work. And the major key in the production is finance, having the access to finance. So in the IFAD VCDP, finance was the only challenge, which, as I'm saying it now, that we have succeeded by having the linkage with the Federal Bank of Nigeria, with the cooperation of our state coordinator, and also the reform coordinator of Niger State through the leadership of Alhaji Usman Idris Makanta. Both of them team together to make sure the entire farmers in Niger State should be financed through Central Bank of Nigeria. as I'm talking to you, one of the success story, in the last season, we cultivated 41,000 farmers were financed from CBN, which our state governor and our state stand as their guarantor, and we have succeeded in doing that.
Okay.
The second is having markets, having linkage to the market. With what IFAD VCDP have put in place in Niger State, in several local governments in the state, that is what we call aggregation centers. With the equipment put in place and with the youths trained in the centers, the state coordinator and also the state government have just signed an MOU with Lagos State government that Niger State government will be producing rice for Lagos State government for demanding of 300 trucks per month.
Okay.
Directly, which means Niger State government will be trading with Lagos State government of about 3 billion naira per month.
All right, thank you. Are you done?
Yes.
All right, that's interesting to hear. And the final question for this session is for Mr. James Rice. Mr. Samuel, who is the IITA rep. So my question now. Okay, you're an IITA farm. Okay, so what has IITA done to increase youth investment in agriculture?
Thank you very much. IITA has really done a lot to increase the participation of youth in agribusiness because just as Catherine said the other time, that the narratives of agriculture needs to be changed because if it's not changed, youth will not believe that agriculture is a wealth-creating sector. And until the youth begins to see that agriculture is a wealth-creating sector, that is when the interest, will be directed towards that path. And IITA created a training in fact, they've been training youths. There's a portion that's called Enable Tats, where it's focused on youth participation in agribusiness. I'm a beneficiary of that training. We were trained, and basically I was made to see that agriculture is more than a culture, it's more than a way of life. It's actually a wealth-creating sector, and that created a passion and motivation in me. And they didn't just stop at the training. The trainings were quite effective. They were not just theoretical, they were practical. We had hands-on practical experience, and then we didn't just stop at that. Because I think that's one of the problems that we have in this country. Skills, information is everywhere. In fact, the biggest university in the world is online, and it is free. So that means information is free. With the advent of the internet, you can learn anything you want to learn. But when you are done learning these things, how do you put them to use? You need some certain level of financing. And by financing, I mean easy financing. Financing methods that are agriculture or agribusiness friendly. Because agribusiness is the kind of business that the kind of financing agribusiness needs is not just like every other. So IITA gave us an agribusiness pack. So after the training, we were inculcated into the agribusiness pack. And what is this agribusiness pack? The agribusiness pack is a platform where all the necessary farm inputs and materials we needed were supplied. So we were not given the cash. You may say, youths when you give them the money, they go and spend it on other things. They saw the interest in us, they created the interest, saw that it has developed in us, and then gave us the ability, enabling environment to do it. So in the park now, we started with 10,000 pieces of juvenile for the aquaculture. That is still on. We started our fish processing facility. Currently, we are still doing the 10,000. For the next batch, we have already taken another batch of juvenile that is currently working. So the point I want to really hammer on right now is that organizations or the government should not just stop at the place of providing knowledge or skill acquisition for youths. Apart from the fact that they need to change the narrative to let us know that agribusiness is lucrative, they should not just stop at providing the knowledge. They should go a step further by providing funding opportunities. And I mean agribusiness friendly funding opportunities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Unfortunately, because of limited time, we have to end here for today. Thank you, everybody.
Please, a round of applause for the panel. Thank you very much. I apologize that we can't take it further, but I think that the two panels have really opened our eyes to what is happening with IFAD and the VCDP program. It does seem to be making a huge impact. We have seen the evidence from the number of people that have shared their experiences on the platform, and of course, we saw the energy of the youth when they came at the start of the session. I do understand that there's a national agro-youth platform that needs to be launched now. So if we can just do that very quickly, I am not sure who is supposed to be leading that, but can we just run through that and so that we can begin to round up for the day? Really need to move it quickly if we can, please.
We are here to launch the National Agro Youth Network.
And we implore you to join us on the platform. It promises to be enriching, educative, for sharing of information. So please do join us.
We are the youth. We are the youth. We are the future. We are the future. We are the one to take agriculture to the greater. We are the youth. We are the youth. We are the youth. We are the future. We are the future. We are the one to take agriculture to the greater.
We are here to launch the National Agro Youth Network. This network is open to all. We implore you to come join us so that we can share ideas, innovations, best practices within the agricultural space. Thank you.
VCDP youth, our farm, our pride. VCDP youth, our farm, our pride. VCDP youth. are proud to be farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So please, let us engage the VCDP program.
So effectively, we have direction as to how we're going to take the National Youth in Agriculture, drive forward. I was just talking to Christabel outside now when she was on her way out, and I said to her, she should have allowed the chap who was talking about billions, shouldn't have shut him up, because that's what we're talking about here. It's the money side, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our young people. This is the future, and I'm excited. You can see the way I am. It's my responsibility now to kind of bring all of this together in such a manner as we can begin to look forward as to how and where we are headed from here. Ladies and gentlemen, do I have your attention? Hello? Hello? Great. So, this has been a fantastic 48 hours. The work that has gone into putting up the last 48 hours has been profound, engaging, hard fought in many instances. Vera is here. She knows she can bear me out. I don't think I have slept for 4 hours in the last 2 weeks. I don't think I've had 4 hours of consistent sleep. The only thing I have done is to ensure that when I sleep, I sleep. So I want to thank everyone who has been part of this journey, everyone who has helped us to really demonstrate what agriculture is about in Nigeria. Everyone who has thought it necessary to identify with this, will I say, momentous push towards ensuring that the Nigerian economy post-COVID-19 will really, carry on the basis or on the wings of the agricultural sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not one to try to maybe flatter you, but let's be serious with ourselves. The path going forward is one that has to be, will I say, charted with a level of determination, with a level of poise, and also with a level of confidence. Earlier today, the Minister of Agriculture said exactly the same thing. I know we're tired. I know we've had a stretch of time. But please, as you go, as we bring this to a wrap, know for a fact that we can I can stand here telling you, with you in sync with me, that we can actually accomplish what we have set out to accomplish in this sector. My brothers and sisters, my fellow countrymen, we have a responsibility towards our kith and kin. Out there, the situation that meets our eyes is really a challenging one. You heard the minister. Even though we are increasing productivity, we've got to ensure that there is access. Because if there is no access, then we're just about numbers. And this is no business for just numbers pandering. We want to make sure that we impact lives. We want to make sure that we are able to put, a smile on the faces of our people. And it takes determination. We are the privileged ones. We are the ones with, the benefit of education, of, enablement or empowerment. We are the ones that have to take these benefits over to the rest of our populace. And so as we go, and as God goes with us, I want us to have this one thing at the back of our minds. It's a job, and it's got to be done. Thank you so much for having spent the time with us. We appreciate you, and may God bless you. This event, effectively, has been drawn to a close. God bless.
Thank you very much again for showing up at the Feed Nigeria Summit 2021.
I beg, I have to thank my MC. Wale, come, I beg. No, please, let's give it up for a great guy. Wale Famarewa, he has been a good host. He has been a fantastic moderator. And, it surprises me, he really doesn't have so much of a background in agriculture. But he had to, on the ground here, on the spur of the moment, learn the ropes. Wale, I hope we've converted you.
No problem, man. I'm certainly part of the fold now. I was just going to say, please, before you leave, do your best to take a look at the exhibition. If you want to connect with those at the deal room, please do your best to do so as well. Make some connections before you leave. That is what it's all about. Let's partner together to move this agro sector forward. Thank you so much, and safe travels home.